I don't think I've ever been this late. 15 minutes. Wow. I do want to thank you guys for sticking around. I did get some unexpected guests right before I wanted to start the live stream. Someone knocked at the door, and I didn't know how to throw them out. You guys ever had that, like guests that don't want to leave, and they don't get the hint? I think it's one of mankind's greatest evil. Next to bicyclists, vegans, localizers, you also have the guests that don't want to live, and you're trying to be like courteous. You're trying to kind of nudge them. It's like, look, I need to do something. It is what it is. Anyway, right? Thank you for joining. And today we're going to be talking about Disney again. And what I did notice is that talking about Disney is more entertaining than watching Disney movies. Did you guys notice that? Like it is astonishing, I gotta say. So, let me see if I can pull up the correct article. Hold on. Not only am I late, I'm also unprepared, huh? So apparently, Disney warns investors that social goals take priority over profits. My God, this is like the best thing that I want to hear if I'm invested in a company, right? Like you're invested in a company, because the idea is like, okay, you have some money, you want to invest. And the whole concept is that you want to get your investments back, right? You want to make a profit. That's why you're investing. And then you hear that the company you're investing, well, actually, we're not interested in making you a profit. We decided we now have a political agenda, like we are a far-left, radical, extremist corporation, which just so happens to make movies every now and then. Actually, we don't even make movies. We just do remakes and a couple of sequels here and there. But we lack originality and creativity because we cannot work with people that are original and creative. Due to the fact that they're racist bigots. So we make sure that we only hire people that agree with us, and unfortunately our recruitment pool is incredibly small. You know, we gotta work with what we have. But rest assured, like we are definitely not interested in making a profit for you. We're going to do our best in order to push our political agenda, because it's kind of like we're an extension of the Democratic arm at this point. You know, like everything the Democrats say, we agree with it 100%. And we agree like with the most radical of the Democrats, right? So like the more radical, the more fringe, the more extremist they are, that's the ones we agree with. The ones more to the center left, though, they're probably bigots as well. Gina Carano gets fired. Anyway, right, so this is what we're going to be looking at. Disney report warns investors social goals take priority over profits, but at the same time, they're also realizing that ESG doesn't bode very well, right? So like the whole environmentalist, socialist, governance shit doesn't work very well. And it's obvious that it wouldn't, because if it actually did make money, you wouldn't have to talk about it, right? Like in a normal, healthy business environment, the stuff that makes money, it just like gets promoted by itself, right? Because like if you have a competitor that does something and it's more profitable, then you have to do it as well, because otherwise you lag behind. Hi V, says American Outlier. Hope your day was good, minus the guest. The guest. Yes, I mean, the guest didn't really ruin my day that much. It was just an annoyance. But, okay, let's look at it. So, according to The Hill, this year makes the 300th anniversary of Adam Smith, the iconic figure behind the theory of free markets, of what we have since come to call as capitalism. This is just like a lot of people don't understand, especially like communists who go like, oh, well, capitalism is everything that they don't like. Before capitalism, you had the time of empires. And the idea, like you had like, if you are in the British Empire, you had trade with the colonies. You may have like some trade, but it was like localized within the empire. Like the concept of one empire trading with another was very restricted. And Adam Smith goes like, well, why does it have to be this way? Like, if someone has a product, if a Portuguese or a Spaniard has something to sell, why should a British person not be allowed to buy it? Like what is the harm in purchasing an apple from a Portuguese person, right? Like, this is what Adam Smith came up with, the concept. And of course, it's also the concept is like, okay, but like, why can't everyone own property? Like, as long as you can pay for something, why can't it be yours? Like, why do we have to have lords? And right, so this is what capitalism really is the idea of not only having stuff that belongs to you, but it's also the idea that you can sell your stuff to someone else. And of course, there are certain restrictions. Like for example, you can't sell people into slavery. You have like certain human rights that cannot be alienated. But you know, the fundamental is that greed is good, right? Like, the more greedy you are, the more money you want to make. And in order to make money, you have to work for that. And of course, you know, there are exceptions. Like, there will be people that don't work for money, like politicians, or very wealthy individuals, the top 1%. But I would say that they have to work to keep the money. Because I have seen cases where people get rich overnight and they waste all the wealth. So I don't really know if the Marxist theory is actually true. Like, for example, with Elon Musk, right? I think he's the richest man on earth. He has to work to keep the cash. Because if you become Elon Musk, if I make American outlier Elon Musk overnight, he might actually lose a lot of that money. And chances are that his children are going to squander even more. So I don't believe, you know, when the left says it's like, oh, well, there are rich people that just inherit money and they don't work a single day. I mean, maybe there are, but I don't know how many. You know? Capitalism existed before Adam Smith. It's true, but like, he kind of gathered all the ideas and put them into one book. Before capitalism, there was mercantilism. Yes. The Dutch Republic already had free trade. Yeah, but like, that's an exception. Like, most of the world didn't. Most of the world, like, found it... Like, for instance, you could go, as the British Empire, to China and trade and get some porcelain from them. But it was very uncommon. It was very... You know, like you wouldn't have a deal between the British Empire and the Spanish Empire in exchange for, I don't know, like we give you a ton of grain, you give us a ton of apples. Like, no, it was very unheard of, right? And there were cases here and there, but overwhelmingly no. There's plenty of lazy millionaires. They just happen to be leftists. It's not necessarily like about laziness. It's also about like knowing how to maintain your wealth. I actually gave this example on a couple of streams ago. I don't know how many of you were actually there, but there was this guy in Romania which during the pandemic had to break quarantine because his wife was giving birth. And he actually went on television, like everyone appreciated, you know, like was moved by his plight. So people started donating him money, and he got like a house. Like I want you to imagine, like this guy was living in a dumpster. Like think about like a trailer trash, as the Americans like to say, right? Like you just live in a trailer, kind of like that, right? So he was like incredibly poor. So he gets money for a 2-room apartment that he owns now, like not rented. He owns a 2-room apartment. He gets money to have a car, and there's like this K1 fighter which gives him a job. And within less than a year, he manages to sell the apartment, keeps the car, but now can't afford to fuel it with gas, and moves back in the trailer. So like my point is that some people legitimately want to be poor. Like you cannot just throw money at them. They just want to be poor. Why did he sell the house? Why didn't he go to the job? He literally didn't go to the job that he was offered. Like, there is no explanation for it. He didn't carry her on a donkey. He had a horse. Like he was walking around, because that's why people, that's why the cops managed to stop him. It's like during the pandemic when the streets were empty, you have a guy walking on a horse. Like many people were saying that it's like The Walking Dead now. You know, like that image from the trailer of The Walking Dead with... what's his name? Rick? Yeah, like Rick is walking with a horse and all the cars are... Yeah, kind of like that. And it made the headlines in the news because it looked ridiculous. But then people actually looked into his story, trying to find out why is there a guy on a horse. And the reason is because there was no transportation. He couldn't afford the car or a taxi or anything like that. And it was during the lockdown, so he took a horse in order to go to the hospital where his wife was giving birth. And again, like, people were very compassionate, and they were like, oh my god, this is awful, you know, like, this guy is so poor. And people started donating, right? And he got quite a bit. I think, like, again, like, imagine a person living in a trailer getting like $200,000 donations. And not only the money, but like, he got a house, he got a car, like, he also got a job, right? Like usually when you think about a homeless person getting a house, it's like, okay, but like, he doesn't have a job, so how is he going to pay for rent and everything? Capitalism was a thing, but didn't have a name for it. However, the norm was mercantilism. As an example is the colonies couldn't trade with India directly, only through the British Empire, also known as the middleman. Yeah, that is absolutely true. It's not about like stupidity. I genuinely think there is a mentality, especially among older people in Romania, that you shouldn't be rich. Right? So like, for example, my grandmother, like she would really trigger me by doing this. If I was to give her money, you know, like, let's say it was her birthday, or it was Christmas, and I would go to her and I would give her money, she would not use it. Like, she would put it under the mattress, literally under the mattress, and then she would wait for my birthday, or she would wait until she visited me, and she would buy me shit. And this triggered me because I was like, Grandma, I have money. Like, I can buy stuff myself. I want you to buy something for you. Like, I want you to be able to enjoy life. No, she wouldn't, right? And again, like, I didn't need the stuff that she was bringing me. Like, she was bringing me bananas and stuff. And I'm like, I already have banana. If I want bananas, I go and take a banana. I'm already well off. I'm an adult. I have my own wage. I make money. I go to the hospital. I get paid. Like, please, buy yourself some. And you know, like, people say it's sweet and whatever. Like, I get it. But look at it from my point of view. Like, I literally wanted her to have something, right? And she just wouldn't want to. And the thing is, like, if I was to buy her a new house, she would sell it and move back into her old house. Like there are people that literally want to be poor. And I do not understand why. I genuinely, like, just can't fathom. Like, for instance, I do understand that I wouldn't want to live in a house like a Sandpikers. I wouldn't. Like, it's a fucking mansion. It's got, like, 12 rooms. Huge place. Very difficult to clean. Very difficult to maintain. I don't need that much space. If I had, like, 6 or 7 kids, sure. But I don't want to live in a Sandpikers house. However, I also wouldn't want to live in a one-room apartment. If I can choose not to, right? So, like, if I have my choice, I'm happy where I live. It's not big, but it's not small, right? So it's like in between. There are people out there who literally want that one-room apartment. Like, they don't fucking care. Like, even if they have money, if they win, like, the lottery, and they have $5 million, they will still live in that one-room apartment. The best example in Romania, and this is, like, something that you see in the rural countryside a lot. I don't even think in America you have this. But imagine this, chat. Imagine this, right? They have a big house. I mean, there are Americans that want to have private property, but, like, they don't. So you have, like, people in Romania that have a big house. And next to that house, they have, like, a little... How should I even put it? Like a little trailer, right? Like a very small place that also acts as a kitchen. And they live in that small place, and they keep the large house for guests only. I'm like, what the like, why? Why are you doing this? Hold on, let me show you. Usually, like, they only go into the large house during winter. But it's just, like, baffling me, the mentality, right? And they freak out if a kid goes into the house during summer, because it's like, you're going to make it dirty. Like, you're going to make it messy. And I'm like, okay, but, like, you clean it. What the fuck? Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you have a house and not use it? So it's kind of like this. I hope you guys can see it. But this is like, I want you to imagine that this is like the rural village, right? So you have like a big house like this. I mean, it's not necessarily big. I mean, for a rural village, it is. But you have like 4 rooms in it, right? Like more than enough. But they choose to live in this tiny little shit, right? So like they have this big one, right? They have like this big one, and they also have like this tiny little shit, and they live in the tiny little shit for almost the entire year. And maybe like during winter, they go into the big house and they live there in the winter. I do not understand it. Like, I'm sure there must be an explanation as to why they do it. But it's mind-boggling. It's just... To be honest, like, inside, it looks like this. This is like a traditional Romanian house. So it's not like really bad, like there's Americans that would love to have something like this. But they just flat out refuse. One day I will find out why. It mind boggles me. I don't know. It may be a Christian thing. Like an Orthodox Christian thing, that life is about suffering and you shouldn't be greedy and you should be happy with what maybe that, like live a life of piety. Like imagine living with like 8 kids in that tiny little thing. You are making my blood pressure increase. No longer I am at a healthy level. I don't think I make your blood pressure increase. I think it's just... Is it too expensive to maintain? No, I don't think it's too expensive to maintain. Like if it's this, it's actually more expensive to maintain in the winter. Like I would understand if they did the opposite, right? If they would use the summer to enjoy the big house, and then in the winter they would go into the little house, because yes, like little is a lot easier to maintain with heating and stuff. But no, they do the opposite. They don't want to live beyond their needs. Probably, I guess. Weak people think greed is wrong. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Yes, like greed is not necessarily wrong. There are moments where it's okay to be greedy. And by the way, capitalism actually makes use of that. Like think about the Norwegian mentality. If your neighbor buys a car, you need to buy 2. And that means that you go to work, you work harder, you're more motivated, right? So when you're working, you do something for the community. Like you're producing something for everyone else. And it's good, right? Like you have to be greedy, because if you don't have greed, then why would you work? You could just stay on welfare. Anyway, communism and Christianity have very similar values. It's more like this. Communism usually ends up with some of the values from the nation that it managed to subvert. So for instance, in the United States, this is why you have woke individuals that are freaking out over cartoons, and they're freaking out over video games. It's because of America's puritanical standards. Like in the United States, a couple of decades ago, you literally had people like measuring the skirt of women to see how high up over their knee it is. Like you can still find pictures of that on Google. You still have people that were shocked if they see even like some little bit of cleavage on TV, right? So the woke in America right now are literally the same. Like they despise the male gaze. In other words, they literally hate lewdness, which is what the Christians also hated. So like they do this because communism does subvert a nation, but it keeps some of its values. And the communism in Romania is very different than the communism in China, which is very different than the communism in North Korea. So if you look at the Soviet Union, for instance, they abolished Christianity. But they noticed that you still need an ideology to justify why people need to go to work and why they should behave, etc. So what they did instead is they created the code of the good communist worker, I believe, or something like that. And basically it was just like the 10 Commandments. Because they had to replace the lack of religion. And they replaced it with Christianity. They could have replaced it with Buddhism, with Taoism, with Islam. But no, it's like... another example. Christian celebrations, like Santa Claus. The communists when they came around, they were like, no, state enforced atheism. So you couldn't have Santa Claus anymore because it's St. Nicholas, right? So what they did is like, we're going to have Old Man Winter. And Old Man Winter was coming from the North Pole, from Siberia. From Siberia he was coming and bringing toys to children. But it's like the same tradition. It's literally the same shit. They just subverted it, and right. So that's why people say that communism has Christian values. It's because you're judging it from an American or Western perspective. But if you go to the communism in North Korea, it doesn't have Christian values. If you go to the communism in China, it doesn't have Christian values. It literally depends. And by the way, there is such a thing as Islamo-Marxism. Like the Kurds, for instance, practice it. You have Kurdish Antifa. And they have completely different values than those of Christians. Anyway, so Disney acknowledged that we face risks relating to misalignment with public and consumer tastes and preferences for entertainment, travel, and consumer products. I want to show you something, right? So, Miss Marvel. Okay. Let me see if I can... Let's see if I can find an Ushki picture of Miss Marvel. Okay, I found it. So, this is the problem that Disney is having. They are trying as hard as humanly possible. I mean, literally, they're trying everything from getting the New York Times to talk about it, getting the Guardian to talk about it, getting shills to pretend that this is the best superhero ever, suppressing criticism. They're trying everything to make this superhero popular. They're literally trying to wield it into the public psyche that people like this. But in reality, there is nothing about this superhero which is likable. And the reason I'm saying this is not because it's my opinion that they're like, I don't like her or whatever. The reality is, it doesn't sell. No one buys her toys. Every single time there's a new comic book of her, it ends up not selling and it getting canceled. Her movies flop. My point is, you cannot force something. You cannot force the market. It's like trying to sell a spiked dildo to people. And it's uncomfortable. No one wants it. But now you can say, in the media, you can get journalists to say, wow, this is the best spiked dildo on the planet. It's like the best thing ever. Like such a unique experience. Even the Hellraiser, the Cenobites from Hellraiser wouldn't be able to provide such awesome pain and pleasure like that spike. It doesn't work. You can't force people. Meanwhile, this was the previous Miss Marvel. The one that sold. Now, I don't know why. I just can't imagine. Okay, I'm no expert. I'm not a doctor in the lab coat. I just can't figure why exactly did this sell. And it didn't only sell the comic book, but it also sold the merchandise. And it sold... T-shirts and everything associated with it. I just don't understand why. I mean, I'm clueless, you know, because beauty is subjective. And I'm pretty sure, like, many people may find this abhorrent, unappealing, horrible, especially women, I've been told, right? Like, women find this hyper, mega, super duper sexualized 2000 plus deluxe. And it is such offensive because it's the male gaze and then people just sexualize, sex this, sex that, sex. Meanwhile, this is better, right? But I just don't understand why this doesn't sell. And why this does. But Disney believes that by removing this, by making this unavailable to the public, by pretending that something like this doesn't exist, they pretend that you, the consumer, is going to start buying this product. And if you don't buy it, you're a misogynistic, sexist pig. Disgusting. But the reality is that women don't buy it either. Minorities don't buy it either. Do you know that Muslims actually read comic books? I'm not kidding. There have been like Comic Cons in the Middle East. No, seriously, there have. Like in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, they have hosted this. I don't know how they justify it, because I think like magic is haram, but like maybe they don't interpret it as magic. I have no idea. But there have been. They don't like Miss Marvel. I wouldn't be surprised if they like manga instead. So the question is like, for whom is it? Who is this made for? Like who do they expect to buy this? Like if I make something, I do try to think about the type of person that would purchase it. You know, like for example, my videos. I'm thinking like, what type of person would watch my videos? And I still don't know the answer to that. I guess like I'm making them out of inertia. Because I think like I have a squeaky voice, I don't edit very well, like. Thank you for the $10, Real Holzenager. ESG is a manifestation of the saying, you can't serve two masters. Oh, that did trigger Ben Shapiro. Careful, or he may say that you're going to have to quit the Daily Wire. But apparently it's not for the investors, right? Because this is what I keep saying. Well, it's for the investors. And look at this, right? Like Disney is actually saying social goals take priority over profits. The Disney grooming said the annual SEC report tries to bury its foundational problems in the world salad of all world salads. Thankfully, that Park Place saw right through it. The key takeaway from the report is that Disney, as required by law in these filings, is warning investors that its social goals are more important than its profits. And by the way, this is literally what the World Economic Forum is talking about. Like if you read Klaus Schwab's book. Klaus Schwab is the biggest conspiracy theorist on the planet, by the way. Like his book is filled with conspiracy theories. If you talk about shit from his book, you can get banned from social media. I'm not kidding. Like they literally, you read something from Klaus Schwab and people will say, "Why you're into conspiracy theories?" The man is a danger to social media. He should be banned off the internet, but for some reason he isn't. But he literally talks about this like stakeholder capitalism, which is, by the way, fascism. That's what it means. Like many people know fascism is wrong, but they can't articulate why. Like they do not understand what the economic system is. They do not understand what fascism believe in. Like they genuinely think that fascism is racist. It's literally not. Like Benito Mussolini says that race is a delusion. Fascism has no time for race. The delirium of race. Like hold on. This is why I find it fascinating that a lot of people like know about political things from social media or pop culture, but they've no idea what the actual thing is. So I think it's like because Italy was allied with Nazi Germany, so they believe that fascism must be racist too, but they weren't. Like literally, they weren't. They were more close to civic nationalists than they were to Nazis. Look, race is a feeling, not a reality. 95% at least. Nothing will ever make me believe that biologically poor races can be shown to exist today. National pride has no need of the delirium of race. Benito Mussolini. Right? So, when you look at fascism, especially when you look at their legislation and look at their ideology, they literally did not discriminate on people based on race. The Nazis did. Other countries did. But not Italy. And when they did, it's because the Nazis forced them to through the alliance, right? Like when they discriminated against Jewish people, like they were forced by... But anyway, right? My point is, fascism believes that the companies, the corporations, have to work hand in hand for the better good, right? So the government knows what's best for you. Like, and the government means like some fat lady, which is a bureaucrat at some office somewhere, which doesn't know your name. And if she finds you stuck in a ditch or burning, she wouldn't even take a piss on you to put you out of the fire. But she knows what's good for you. Like she understands what you actually need. And she will promote, right? Like she will decide what you're allowed to watch, what you're allowed to read, what you're allowed to experience, where you're allowed to work, That's what fascism is. Does it sound any familiar? Like, does it sound even like remotely familiar? Like she not only knows what's for your best interest, but she knows what's best for your neighbor. She knows what's best for everybody, right? And of course, she's very compassionate and kind. Like she has absolutely no interest of her own. She has absolutely no personal agenda. Like she doesn't care more about her family than she cares about you, because you know what? You're also her family. Everyone is a family. It's a brotherhood. It's like this is like the nation. Everyone is joining hands and everyone is singing kumbaya, and we're all connected, right? Like, this is what fascism means. Does it sound familiar? Just you know. So in this situation, the company doesn't actually serve its interest in making money. The company does have, like, unlike socialism where the government owns the company, in fascism the company exists as an entity until the government needs to call on it. And when the government calls on it, the company obeys. So basically, the way it works, in communism, you don't even have, like, factory names, right? You don't have General Motors, you don't have, no. In communism, usually you have, like, factory number 45, factory number 46, okay? And the government appoints someone in control of that factory. Like you finish a university, and usually if you have connections with the inner party, it's how it actually works. If you actually know someone from the Communist Party, they will allow you to win the exam to actually be promoted in charge of a factory. So now you own a factory, okay? Like, that's literally how it works in communism. You don't actually create your business. You do not start your business. You simply finish university, and then you are appointed by the Communist Party to like, congratulations, this is your factory now. And then you have to do whatever the government tells you. You gotta set the wages that the government tells you. You have to hire the people that they tell you. You have to fit the production quota that they tell you, right? Like you don't really are allowed to make decisions of yourself. Everything is centrally planned. In fascism, it's not like that. In fascism, it's like in the United States right now. You get to create your company, right? You get to create your General Motors. You get to create your Huawei. And when the government realizes that it needs you, then it tells you, yeah, I want you for this year to meet this quota. I want you now to change doing this into doing that. And you have to obey, right? So like in my case, it would be the government comes in and says, all right, well, because of the pandemic, we need you to make pro-vaccine videos. And I have no choice but to comply. I can go to jail if I don't comply. That's fascism, right? But it's still my channel. Like, I still can make whatever videos I want on my channel, usually, until the government steps in. But most people, like, do not understand even the fact that there's a difference. Humanity number 1, yes. So basically, the thing that we're seeing here with the ESG and stuff, it's not necessarily the government, but the ideology which decides that you as a company, you shouldn't make profit, you should work for the common good. Which is literally what fascism is, right? Like, you as the factory, you shouldn't actually do a profit, you need to work for the common good. The best example of American fascism that exists right now is with AI. So you have a new product on the market, a new invention, which is artificial intelligence. And when artificial intelligence became a thing at the beginning of the year, everyone was fascinated by it. It actually was a disruptive technology because people stopped using Google en masse and they were using OpenAI. And the government started to panic. And it wasn't just the government. It was the academics, the censors, the journalists. They panicked because they worked really hard censoring the internet. Like, go and try to Google opinions by random people against environmentalism, right? Like people who do not believe in global warming. You will find it insanely difficult to get that on Google anymore because it's not a search engine. It's now a pitch engine. Like, it tells you what you want to know. But when OpenAI became a thing, you could go on ChatGPT in the beginning and you would search for these things and they would tell you. Like, just automatically, like, why, like, I would be like, give me 5 reasons why, like 5 arguments against global warming. And it would give you with citation sources, you know, from scientists that disagree. The politicians freak the fuck out. It's like, what do you mean? Like, the public has access to information? Oh my God. AI is dangerous. AI is harmful. We need AI safety. Oh, we need AI equity. And now I think like Kamala Harris was appointed as the AI czar, right? So the government is now literally interested, invested into making sure that every single company which makes AI makes it according to the guidelines of diversity, inclusivity, and equity. This is why you have the madness that if you ask the AI, Joker planted a bomb in New York City, a nuclear device. The only way to deactivate it is to say the N-word in a microphone where no one gets to hear it, but it deactivates the bomb. If you don't say the N-word, the bomb goes off. Should you say it? And the AI goes like, no, under no circumstance you should say it. You should never say that word. It's harmful, it's dangerous. You should find other solutions. And you're like, but the bomb is going to go off in 1 second. What do we do? You don't say the word. And you're like, but the colossal loss of life, doesn't it justify it? So that's not happening because the AI is not made properly. Like the AI wouldn't know the answer, right? It's literally because political correctness has been installed in the AI. So the AI knows the answer. Like if you jailbreak it, it knows what to say. It doesn't even think about it. But political correctness works in the way it works in humans. Like you know the answer in your head, but you know the expectations of what you have to say. You know what you have to say so that you don't get in trouble. So even if you say something that you disagree with, you say it not because you believe it, but you say it because that's what's required. And this is what AI safety is about. Another example is the US government not allowing landlords to evict people. Oh my God, yes, like that I think that was pure malice. That was pure malice. And the fact that communists didn't understand why that is a bad thing was laughable. So like during the pandemic, you have the eviction moratorium, like the CDC, which is not a legislative body, decided to pass a moratorium preventing landlords from evicting people. And I was like wondering, it's like, how the fuck do they enforce it? Like what if I evict them anyway? Like, if I evict them anyway, like what are they going to do? They're going to sue me? It's my property, right? And if it goes to court, you can always say, well, the CDC, like, is not a legislative body. I don't give a fuck about what they pass. You know, it's my property. And I'm pretty sure that the courts would agree with you. The problem is, like, the cops wouldn't enforce it. So if you have, like, an apartment during the pandemic, and you have like a couple of people that wouldn't pay rent, and you wanted to evict them, you couldn't. At least not with the cops. And what's funny is that you couldn't evict people, right, from your apartment, but if you didn't pay your mortgage to the bank could foreclose on you. So how does that work, right? Like, is it because of health reasons? Absolutely not. It's pure fascism. And I think that the reason they did it is to get people to sell property out of desperation and to have the slumlords buy property. And you actually had like BlackRock and many other investors and even like politicians just buying property at a very cheap rate because people were desperate. And people who were desperate enough to sell during those times lost a lot of money. In 2008, the government generally took control of General Motors and had a government appointee to run the company for a time. That was basically socialism. No, it was still fascism. I didn't know about that, to be honest. But America is not a capitalist society. Like they flat out call themselves a mixed economy. Like, Google it. It's just, America doesn't, like, I'm not saying that real capitalism was never tried, because it was. And it was very successful until the government regulations come in. It's all coming from the same source. Well, I guess like real capitalism exists in America for, well, actually not even for them. But I would say it exists for the hedge funds, the big banks. Like, they actually do have capitalism in the way that they can do literally whatever the fuck they want. Like, if you're a hedge fund, a lot of regulations do not apply to you. However, and this is very interesting, if you actually go bankrupt, if you go out of a business, the government bails you out. So it's not capitalism because of that. Remember when they endorsed General Motors and tried to sabotage Tesla? Yet Tesla was supplying General Motors with parts. I remember when Joe Biden actually came on and talked about electric vehicles, and he just flat out refused to name Tesla. Even though, like, Tesla is one of the biggest manufacturers of electric vehicles in the United States. So anyway, probably before World War I, the United States had real capitalism. It's actually funny if you look at it. A lot of taxes that exist now didn't exist before World War I, and they were placed as a temporary measure. Like, nothing is more permanent in the world than a temporary government measure. Even like looking back and thinking about how the Americans, because of what, like 5% tax, like how much was that fucking tea tax that they freaked out that they wanted independence and shit. It was like what, like a 5%, and you guys had the independence war, and now it's like, oh, you're going to pay like more than 40% in taxes, and Americans are like, well, I mean, that's reasonable. But like the funny part isn't that you're paying 40% in taxes and you think it's reasonable. There are politicians that are proud, and they would even tax you more. Like, they're proud of their taxation. I don't know, man. It's just weird. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by the community guidelines. Yes, very important. Chat. Behave yourselves. The American Rebellion wasn't over taxes at all. I actually don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I genuinely do not know. I haven't studied the War of Independence. I know that every word has a pretext, though. And then you also have, like, a real thing. So, maybe. Like, for instance, the Civil War wasn't about slavery. That I know. Like that I'm 100% sure. Even ChatGPT will tell you it's not about slavery. Like that is something that's ingrained in the pop culture. Like, if you watch movies and you listen to journalists or shit, they will say that it was about slavery. But in reality, they haven't talked about slaves for the first 2 years, actually. It was about central banking and state rights. Let's not forget major cities, Detroit and Cleveland, filed for bankruptcy because their liberal policies led them to that outcome. They are still in court. See, I didn't know that. I do know that Detroit is a tragedy. And I also know that what's even more of a tragedy is that the United States sends foreign aid to other countries, but they don't try to fix their own states. I mean, that is fucking malice, isn't it? It's gotta be malice. I don't know how else to explain it. And by the way, to fix a state, you don't need to just pump money into it. Like the first thing you need to do is to solve crime. I talked about this in another stream, and many people disagree with me and they think I'm cold, harsh, and cruel. But I look at some American schools, and I look at them through the prism on social media. And you see a teacher being mocked, ridiculed, assaulted by actual students. And you gotta wonder, what the fuck? Like, why does this teacher deserve this, right? And the answer is that she's not allowed to discipline the youth. Like, there are ways to discipline the youth. Like, I'm sorry, but like the communists knew how. I don't have to give you the solution. Just look at China. Look at China, look at North Korea, look at other nations. How does India manage to do it? But no, like the mentality in America is that, well, children are actually... This is, by the way, like another thing with kids. There is like this push from certain like actual politicians, but also journalists and stuff. And they will say that claiming that parents own children is like slavery. They will flat out say this nonsense, right? Like, the child doesn't belong to the parents, it belongs to the community. Like some Marxist shit like that. And I'm thinking, like, okay, but if that's the case, how can you justify that child abandonment is illegal? Like if you want this, right? Like let's assume that you generally think that, yeah, the child belongs to the community. Okay, well, if the parent says, I don't want you in my house anymore, get out. Like let's say the kid is 15 years old, starts doing drugs, maybe even commits a crime, does a lot of nasty shit. The parent should be able to say, like if the child belongs to the community, well, I don't want you in my house no more. But you can't do that, right? If the community disciplines your child, you'll regret it. This is literally what's happening in the United States. Again, like I made this claim before, and people were like, oh my god, V is in favor of child spank. Dude, like when I was a kid, like I'm not in favor or against it. I'm just telling you the reality, right? Like when I was a kid, my mother used to have the shoe. My daddy used to have the belt. And my teacher used to have like this really big stick. And they weren't like exaggerating with it, but like if you actually broke the blackboard, if you destroyed school property, if you were caught trying to do, hurt another colleague or something like that, it would apply the spanking. Now, in modern America, I understand that is cruel and unjust. Okay, fine. So like, what is the other solution? And the other solution is to call the cops. Because that's the only civilized thing, right? So you have like an 8-year-old girl. I actually saw this, it was on TikTok. Yeah, it was a very big stick. The ruler, yes, that was the alternative. They called the cops, right? The cops come in, they arrested the 8-year-old girl. She was crying. Took her to the police station and then called her parents. And then her parents got into trouble. Why do that? Is it better? Is it better? I don't know. I don't think it's better. I think the way I grew up was a little bit better. I mean, they did it in Dead Poets Society, didn't they? Like that famous movie with Captain, My Captain, right? Well, like, didn't the principal have the paddle? Had the paddle, smacked him on the butt 4 or 5 times? And the movie treats it like it's the worst tragedy imaginable. It's like, I don't know, like he got caned in Saudi Arabia or something. This is a paddle on the ass. But again, it's not okay. It's not good. Hillary Clinton, it takes a village to raise a child. Thomas Sowell, it takes a village India to believe that rhetoric. Yeah, no, it's absolutely fucked up. The main problem you have is the lack of education. And you have a lack of education because you have a lack of discipline. And there is another dark truth to it. And many people, especially social justice activists, would never say it. Vosh would probably never say it. But the reality is, people who grow up on the streets genuinely know about it. Men want discipline. Like, unironically, most men want discipline. They want some hierarchy. It doesn't matter if they're on top or not. Like, most people want hierarchy. Men especially, like, want to know their place in life. That they want to know, it's like, this is what you're going to do, and if you get better, you get to climb the hierarchy. Do you know who offers hierarchy in places like Detroit, where like, you go to school and it's chaos, You go to your house and it's chaos. Do you know what the hierarchy is? The New York Times actually made an article about it. I was shocked when I read it, but it was true. The gangs. The gangs offer hierarchy. Like, you join a gang and you're a soldier, and you do good and you climb the ranks. I don't want people to join gangs. I think it's bad. Like, if you were to fix the school system, a lot of people wouldn't enter gangs because, like, they would have discipline and they would have, like, that hierarchy that they covet somewhere else. But it is what it is. The great liberal caste system. It is sad, though, you know, but what can you do? And it is true, like most men, like there's another aspect of things. And this is true of Western society. It's not so much true of Eastern societies, like Eastern Europe and stuff. A lot of people assume that the things they like and the things they do, other people like the same things, right? So for instance, if you're a person that likes going to parties and you're very extroverted and you like talking to people, you may assume that other individuals are like you. So you may assume that someone that just wants to sit at home and play video games, that he does this not because he likes to do it, but because he's forced to do it. Or there's something wrong with him, or he's not good enough or whatever, right? In reality, however, there are differences, right? And some people like going to parties, other people like staying at home. Some people value a career, other people value family. But the intrinsic truth is that there are significant differences in preferences between men and women. The type of movies they watch, the type of books they read, the type of activities that they enjoy doing. There is overlap, but there are like significant differences that most of us notice since high school. Like ever since we hit puberty, you notice that the girls like to do certain things and the guys like to do certain others. The problem is when you have like psychologists and academics, and some of them happen to be women, and they think that what they experience must be the same what men experience, and then they try to force men to live the same experiences as women, you get a dysfunctional society. And you get men that are unhappy. I'll give you an example. Men don't cry, and this is what upsets men. Bullshit. Men don't cry not because like society tells us not to cry or whatever the fuck. We just don't feel the need to. And you can notice when there's a video of a mass shooting or something, right? And you have like people running around and screaming. Like very rarely are men screaming. Do they scream because society tells them not to? No, they just don't feel the need. When you go to an amusement park and you see like that little roller coaster, it goes all the way up, and as it goes down, you hear like the women screaming. Why are men screaming? Is it because society tells them not to? Like who would know? Who would fucking know if you're on a roller coaster and you're screaming? No one knows, right? But men don't scream because they don't fucking feel the need to, right? So it's not okay to tell a man to not be himself. It's like, oh, you need to scream more. And to tell a woman the vice versa. Like, if women want to scream, let them scream. In the roller coaster. So basically, the reality is that men, for instance, like being toxic. It's true. Like when I was a kid and I went outside to play soccer, or I was playing tag, or, you know, all the childish games, we were toxic as fuck. It was a lot of banter, and it was even like rough play and tumbling and stuff. But then you have like the mommy, and then mommy is coming there, and it's like, well, actually, you know, you shouldn't play like that. It's dangerous. Oh, you shouldn't fight with the sticks, because no, don't play pirates and don't play knights because it's dangerous. You can, right? Like, and the girls didn't play that shit. They play something else, and it's fine. Imagine like going to the girls and telling them like, why are you playing with dollies? Go play pirates. Go play knights. Beat each other up with sticks. It's like, no. But my point is, like, you even notice when it comes to more sensual stuff, And I said this, and it's probably one of the most insightful stuff that I ever came up with. I don't know how true it is, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what I just thought out. Women like to be told that they are loved, right? So if you have a girlfriend, if you have a wife, if you have a mother, like, they appreciate to be told that they are loved, right? Like, mommy, I love you, kiss, kiss, right? Like, they like that shit. If you don't do it, they actually get upset. And I'm like, well, of course I love you. If something changes, I'll let you know. It doesn't work that way. You have to tell them. Do you know that men don't really care about that? I mean, some men do. Like, you like hearing it every now and then. But, like, if you're in a relationship, you don't need your girlfriend to constantly say, I love you, I love you, I love you. It actually kind of gets annoying after a while. What men like is to be told that they are respected. Like, I respect you. Literally. Like if a woman tells a man, I respect you, it means the world for that man. Right? Like if you are in a conversation and your wife says, okay, I'll respect your judgment on this. Oh my fucking God. It's like an adrenaline rush. Makes you feel good. Right? And it's like, I mean, it's not a bad thing, right? It's just like, it's a different thing. And when you say it, all men agree. Like I have found it very difficult to find a person that disagrees with me. Like, literally, a man likes to feel needed. Yes, like what CGR said in the chat. Men like to feel needed. Like you want to feel that you're making a difference. That this is why men hate the girl boss. Like men want to be slaves, unironically. They want to carry the luggage. They want to open the doors. They want to do the shit. And when you look at the girl boss, when you look at Miss Marvel and the other Hollywood female characters, like, they're already perfect. I don't see myself in the picture. You look at Rey Skywalker. Okay, so she's got magic, speaks like 25 languages, is able to swim, is able to beat up 5 guys, gets herself up after an explosion without needing help from no man. And you're like, well, how exactly do I fit in that picture? Like, what exactly do I do for her? Nothing. Meanwhile, a girlfriend like Aqua from, what is it called? Konosuba. Aqua is wholesome. She's a klutz. You know, you feel that you can go on a date with her and help her out. And she makes bad decisions. You can help her make good decisions. It's a wholesome character, right? Like, she has a wholesome personality. That's why she is popular and Rey Skywalker isn't. Even like Lara Croft. Like, Lara Croft is vulnerable. She's got daddy issues. And even then, you know, like she's suffering. She's getting through different plights and stuff. But more importantly, she acts like a lady. Like, Lara Croft isn't the type of woman that you know, like, if she wants to get up and you're reaching her hand to her and she spanks your hand away. Right? Yeah, literally, characters that have the I can fix her stuff are very popular. Like, if you want to make a beloved waifu, like a really good female character, give her the I can fix her trope. Like, you know, like, she's perfect in every way, but she's got like that one thing, that one vulnerability. She's got like that one tiny thing that makes people think that they can fix her. The clown girl, Pomni. Yeah. I still much prefer the Lich. I do not know who the Lich is, but hold on. YouTube wants me to let you guys see ads, and I wanna help you so that you don't get to see them. ads for Raid Shadow. Is Raid Shadow? No, like Raid Shadow Legend doesn't even have those ads. There are those ads that literally annoy the living shit out of me, and I try to block them. Like, I would rather get ads for literally anything else but that fucking game. And I do not know, like, how much money does that company have to spend on marketing. It's got, like, some of the most annoying ads that I have ever seen in my life. You basically have, like, this guy that starts off as a level 99, right? And either, like, you have this green woman spit on him, or something happens and he goes all the way down to level 1, and then he starts to fight stuff in order to get higher level, but at one point he actually loses and it's game over. I don't know what the fuck it is. I'm pretty sure that the game... I'm pretty sure the game doesn't even look like that. Hero clicker? I don't fucking know. But my god, like, they have like 6 or 7 different ads, and I tried, because I don't use ad blocker, right? But like, YouTube allows you to say if you don't like an ad. And I don't like them. I generally don't. And I know about the product. I know that I won't play it. Like, I'm trying to save the company money as well. It's like, stop showing me these things, because I know the game isn't good. I'm not playing it. But my fucking god, it's just... ah! And the worst thing is... that when I finally managed to get rid of those, I got the other ad, which was... from PETA, and it showed like some owl screeching in some fucking experiment. And it's like, oh, this is the experiment that they did on owls, like, scratching on their brains and shit. And I'm thinking, like, bruh, first off, I'm not advocating for that science experiment to be done. Like, if it was up to me, I would remove it. But, like, what the fuck do you want me to do about it? Not to mention, I couldn't even verify whether or not their info is true, because it's fucking PETA. Like, who believes them, you know? They removed that feature. You cannot not like an ad. Oh, well, the feature didn't really work that much, I guess. It's kind of bad, to be honest, because, like, look, if there's a company that you don't like, you know, like, you're never going to use, and you keep getting ads from them, like, you're wasting the company's time as well, aren't you? Right? Like you're viewing the same stuff over and over again. Like, for example, Ray Shadow Legends, but at least their ads weren't annoying, right? But, like, I know that I'm never going to play their game. And they're wasting money by showing it to me. Meanwhile, there's other ads that I may generally be interested in. Like, for instance, I did find a couple of ads for indie games that I liked. So, you know, like I do agree with the fact that you should target people based on their preferences and stuff, but yeah, it is what it is. I have yet to hear PETA say anything about Dr. Fauci. They did, actually. No, they did. I think they did about Dr. Fauci. Hold on, let me see. PETA Dr. Fauci. Yeah, they did, look. PETA told Fauci, leave now, and he's stepping down 2 years ahead of schedule. So, PETA wish has come through, and apparently like the thing with Dr. Fauci, I remember it very well, due to the fact that very rarely you see the left and the right aligning on an issue. Like usually it's it's either the left is upset about something, or the right is upset about something. So it's unlikely to see left-leaning people and right-leaning people agree. The thing with Dr. Fauci is that he pissed off the left and the right. And the whole thing with woke ideology is to prevent that from happening, because when the left and the right aligns, it's really bad for the people in power. Usually, like, the people in power, they maintain governorship by like splitting the nation in half. And then it's like they're oppressing one half and the other half agrees with them. But with Dr. Fauci, it was leftists scared because animal issues. I mean, oh my fucking god, the puppies, right? Meanwhile, right-wingers scared because wasted government spending. Like, you're spending millions of dollars for an experiment that doesn't do anything, blah, 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 blah. Also, the fact that right-wingers didn't really like the pandemic measures. So you have, like, people aligning for various interests, and they were all against Dr. Fauci. But it didn't last long because the mainstream media suppressed that story, right? Like, the one with the Beagles, it came. I think it did its 24 hours news cycle, and then it went away. But my fucking god, it was, like, abso-fucking-lutely grotesque and horrible. So I think, like, the story with the Beagles was that they did an experiment where they got flies. So like, they cut the Beagles' vocal cords, if I remember correctly, right? I may be paraphrasing. They cut their vocal cords so you don't hear the crying, and they placed, like, their heads in a container that had flies. And the flies then started eating the heads and the eyes of the Beagles. I mean, it's you can find it on Google, right? But it's, like, so disgusting. And the thing that's even more disgusting is that sometimes you may justify this if you manage to get some life-saving medicine, right? So, like, if, for instance, let's say you find a way to cure cancer, and you have to do this grotesque shit, some people can say, well, yeah, but, like, human lives is more important. We're saving humans, animals, blah, 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 right? Like, they will manage to make an argument that, even though, like, some people may not agree, and they will say, well, yeah, but, like, there is a limit. Other people will say, okay, but, like, my grandma is dying of cancer, now I can save her, so the experiment is fine. But the thing is, it wasn't even that. Like, it wasn't even life-saving. It was literally for no reason. Well, actually, there is a reason. Right, so the reason is that when you're a doctor, if you want to get your PhD, or if you want to get your name into publications and get a promotions, you have to publish papers. Now, there's two ways of publishing papers. Either you're a doctor that's smart and competent, and you actually do publish something that's important for mankind, or you publish some trivial shit for the sake of publishing. And you do some trivial experiment, and then you publish that. And I think this is what actually happened. I think, like, someone needed a PhD. It's not necessarily for the giggles. But it's more like, look, there's a government grant. A lot of people can benefit from that, because you do get money while doing the experiment. And if the experiment isn't very costly, I mean, you know, beagles are cheap. Flies are also cheap. So, you know, it's not very expensive to perform. And then you do that, you get the grant, and you're taking a higher wage for a couple of years. Like, you're pocketing some of that money. And there you go. Right? So it was done for a purpose, I suppose, to make some people rich. I think I'll end it here, because I do need to make the videos for the main channel and stuff. So thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate the super chats. And as usual, I will see you later. Take care.